Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Welcome back to another episode of Quilting on the Side. Today is going to be a really fun episode because we are jumping on the launch roller coaster. So strap your seatbelts in and get ready for some fun as we journey on this adventure of entrepreneurship. Just so everybody starts off from the same point, Tori, can you explain a little bit about what it means to have a launch?
Yeah. So a launch is, as an overview, a launch is kind of turning your offer into an event. So typically we do this with a new offer, or we can do this with something you already have, like a recorded workshop, a service that you are gearing up to really get clients in for. So whether that's a long arm quilting, if you're looking for clients to come in for like the holiday season, you can launch for that. Workshops are always great for launching. Patterns are great for launching. Rulers are great for launching. So any products, services, or workshops, you can figure out a way to incorporate a launch for. And then technically, so that's like an overview. You're kind of turning it into a big event. And then the nitty gritty of it is basically creating and gearing your content to get your customer ready for that offer. And everything you're creating content wise is getting them ready for that offer. So that's all your social media, all of your emails, everything like that is going to be geared toward getting them ready for that launch, that offer that you're going to be introducing at one key point.
Yeah, I like to think of it as the idea of a big movie premiere. You know, you have the trailer come out and you get all the excitement, and then you see all the interviews with the stars and they're on all the talk shows. And then everybody goes to see the movie opening weekend, and then people are still talking about it afterwards. And then it goes on, you know, the streaming platforms, and you watch the reruns or you catch it on a random Saturday afternoon when it's on TV. So that can all translate to our online sales of whatever type of product that we have. And you gave some great examples with online workshops, pattern sales, seasonal promotions. So that whole idea of promoting your offer is what happens during a launch. And you did mention the phases there. I see 3 distinct phases of a launch. You have that pre-launch period, that promotional teasing time when you're getting everybody excited. You have the actual launch, which is another term that we will get into is the open cart period, because you have to have the thing for sale. Yep. And then there's also the importance of follow-up. And I have to admit, the follow-up is always my hardest part, because I have an event, I put out a pattern or something, and then it's just like, it's out there. People will find it. They'll like it, you know, and I forget to talk about it. And we really need to be promoting ourselves a lot more than any of us do. You know, I'm sure everybody in the quilt industry could be improving their promotion, because, you know, you see a McDonald's on every corner and you see ads all day, every day. And I'm sure the executives don't sit around saying, oh, I wonder if people are sick of hearing from me. And, you know, we have to get over that idea as entrepreneurs as well.
That's very, very true.
Where should we start? I guess you mentioned a little bit about the pre-launch phase. That's probably a good starting point. What are some key activities that you want to make sure happen in that pre-launch timeframe?
So I want to say that as we're diving into this, launching the very first time can be very overwhelming, and you can keep this simple. So we may go into a lot of detail here, but it's okay to keep your very first launch simple and then build on that for your second launch and build on that for your third launch. So you don't have to go full force all in on your very first launch if it seems really overwhelming. So the first thing you want to do, so if we walk through the process of launching, you really want to take a look at, like all marketing, it's geared and rooted in your ideal customer. And the best way to start is to reach out to that ideal customer and give them a survey. It's one of my favorite things to do, a survey. I love surveys. I love feedback. I talk about it all the time, how much I love feedback. And we are referencing, so the one I use for the book I use for the DMMC, the Digital Marketing Magic Community, and teaching about launching is Jeff Walker's Launch. So this is where the original idea came from. This is where the name comes from. It's his book, Launch. And I think it has a longer title, but Launch by Jeff Walker. So if you want the full launch version, the whole book, you can go find that with Jeff Walker. But what he starts off, and I love it because, again, I love feedback, is reaching out to your customers and asking them, what do they need from you? And it's a specifically phrased question. And it goes, what are your top 2 questions for, and then you put your topic. So the whole email would look like, I'm asking for a favor, or like, I'm asking you for a favor. I am getting ready to launch, let's say I'm launching the DMMC, just because I said that a minute ago. So I'm launching the DMMC. What are your 2 questions about digital marketing that I need to answer inside of this offer? And I would put the name, so Digital Marketing Magic Community, and then wait for the questions coming in. So what are those 2 questions? The questions that they're going to provide you are going to show you their objections to your offer. They're going to show you the information they need from you to accept your offer or to purchase your offer. And it's great insight to not only those 2 things, but also the terms they're using that you can use in your marketing when positioning your offer. So for instance, when I reached out about digital marketing, one of the questions was about launching sequence. So they had a really big question about launching sequence. So how do I sequence my launches? And I think that question really was geared into what emails am I sending and how often am I sending them? So that is definitely a question that I answered inside not only my pre-launch content, so the stuff I'm creating beforehand, but also it go into way more detail inside the program itself. So it gives great insight on what they need from you. And it's such a great question, because even if you're not sure what you want to teach with this offer, you can get a clear idea of what they want from you from this survey. So if you know you want to teach free motion quilting, but you don't know what about free motion quilting you want to include, like, doesn't everybody teach free motion quilting? Well, let me ask my ideal customer. Don't stay stuck in your head. Ask your customer what they want. They will tell you, and then you create your free motion course from what they're telling you they need from you.
And to put another example with pattern design, because you may have a pattern ready to go, you've made the sample, so why would you ask for input at that point? You've already got the design. I have found it helpful to mock up a couple different colorways and put the survey out in those terms. Which version do you like better? Or, it could be, if you're doing an online class, would you rather have 3 weeknights or one weekend event? You can find different A/B testing, 2 different options, and let people answer those. And that's a great way to get engagement around your content going in emails, in surveys, and on social media.
And what's great with pattern designers, if you're reaching out with that question and they're coming back with you to you with their, again, these questions are going to reveal their objections. So if they see that your pattern has curves in it, and you know that they're going to be worried about the curves, but all the questions and stuff that are coming in have nothing to do with the curves, then you don't have to talk so much about the curves. You can focus on what they're questioning, what they are worried about, what's stopping them from going full in with your pattern, and address those concerns rather than spending all of your launch content, all of your social media, all of your emails on tips and tricks for curves, because they're not worried about curves. They're worried about the colorway. They're worried about how to quilt it because it's curves. Like, who knows how to quilt a curve?
Sorry, Devin. I'm here. My kitten's causing trouble. Hang on. Sorry. He got himself stuck on a stack of...
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He just was like perched on a little spot and couldn't get down. So, yes. Okay.
How you like looking up?
Yeah, he's like right. Okay. So, here we go again. So after you've surveyed your audience and your ideal customer and kind of know where you want to go with these offers, how long do you spend on this pre-launch period before you get in and actually sell the thing?
So the answer is going to frustrate you. It depends. Okay, so I would definitely have at least 2 weeks, at the very least 2 weeks, to warm them up to your open cart. At most, you can go up to like 6 months, depending on your offer. So if your offer is a high price point, like the DMMC would probably be considered a higher price point, my launch would start months ahead of time. And it would be addressing concerns. It would be piquing their interest. It'd be getting them curious about digital marketing or how to do that as a pattern designer, a quilter, what have you, a teacher. And it would warm them up for months to build my authority, build my trust, and my the value of what I'm offering. That way, when it's time to announce the price, they understand the value, they understand the positioning, they know what it's going to do for them, and then they can make the decision whether that price point is something they want to dive into. However, on the flip side of that, if it is a lower price point, like a pattern design, your pattern designs are probably anywhere between $20 and $12, somewhere in there. I'm going to see some go for more, like $24, but it's a lower price point. You can do a launch within a couple of weeks. So gearing all of your content for 2 weeks towards your brand new pattern that is coming out, you want to show them what makes it unique. You want to show them different colorways. You want to show them the finishing options. You want to show them how they're going to use their quilt in their house. Because yes, they're quilters, but seeing a quilt that you designed in their house will show them what the design looks like where they are, and they'll start picturing your quilt in their house and they'll want to make it more. But you see how that kind of works. So you want to gear your sequence. So the length of your launch, depending on how much value, trust, and authority you need to build up. So if you are a pattern designer that comes out with a pattern every quarter, and you've been doing so for years, you've built up a lot of trust and authority. You've got quality patterns if you're still in business. So that is a given. So all you've got to do is generate some curiosity and some interest in the pattern itself, not necessarily in yourself. However, like I said, if you have a higher priced option, you're going to need to establish some trust and authority before you can really, and value, to really launch a high value ticket, like a high priced workshop or something like that.
Great. So I really like how you said it can depend. If you really need to generate some income, you can do that in a fairly quick manner by condensing that time frame. But obviously, quilts take a little bit longer. It may take longer to develop a workshop. So you can start dripping out some of those ideas that, hey, something big is coming, weeks or months in advance. And so that gives you something to talk about. And obviously, it doesn't need to be the only thing you put in your content leading up to a launch, but you can start sprinkling it throughout your messaging, just so people know. And this is also a good place to use wait lists. Get that email list going by saying, my email list will be the first one to hear about this. So if you're interested, make sure you sign up.
I'm glad you mentioned the length with in regards to so let me try that again. Devin, let me try that again. Okay. So one thing to keep in mind is that you can launch quickly. You can do things like flash sales, especially when you're more established and you've got that trust and authority buildup and that email list. You can do quick launches, like you said, and generate a lot of income right away. But one thing you want to avoid is having a launch that's too long for something like a quilt pattern. Because if you've got so much interest, you're going to have your audience trickle off before your open cart if you're trying to get that interest really going like 3 months ahead of time, because you still have 3 months worth of work. And I love the idea of a wait list. I can give the example of the book that I'm writing, the Workshops Unleashed. So I've been writing it for about a year. I thought I'd have it done at one point, but I'm not advertising it yet. I just have a wait list or a pre-sale on my website. The first was waitlist. Now it's a pre-sale because I'm getting closer and closer, but I haven't really been talking too much about it. So I put it out there because I've been on podcast. I've been doing our podcast. I've been doing a lot of different things, and I want to make sure that those who are interested know it's coming, but I'm not launching it yet. So yes, it's there, but I'm not launching it yet. When you see me launch it, it will be all over. And when you talked about trickling in your content, I do want to caution you of mixing too much in near the end. So near the end of your launch, you really want to focus your content. At the beginning, I love the trickle. I think that's a great idea. Trickling what's coming, cultivating that curiosity, but then focusing your content on that offer at least that last week before your launch, your open cart. Everything you post should be about that offer. And it sounds like overkill, but keep in mind that most people aren't going to see what you're sending. And they need to see it more than once, more than 3 times, more than 4 times. I think if I remember right, the number is about 7, is one of those numbers they throw out there. Nobody's really studied exactly how many times you need to see an offer before you buy, but many speculate it's around 7. So maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe 6. But keep that in mind. They need to see it multiple times before they're going to be ready to buy. Even if you have that trust, authority, and value set up already, they're going to need to see it a lot. So don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to share it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've covered the pre-launch activities. We all know the importance of social media marketing. So let's dive into the actual launch. And for some, let's again look at a time frame. I was going to say, you can have a 1-day pattern sale or launch, but you really want to have that launch period be spread over 3 days, a week, 2 weeks? What do you think is the best?
I think this is from experience. So a flash sale is great for established people. So if you're established, a flash sale is great. As Andi was saying, anywhere from 5 to upmost, I would think 10 days. I would not go past 10 days because no one, what you're doing is giving them a reason to buy now. If they haven't bought in 10 days, most likely they're not going to buy now. They may buy later, but they're not ready to buy now. So yes, at the most, I would say 10 days, typically around 5 to 7. Around 5 to 7. And you can do different events throughout your launch to keep your launch moving and to organically create that scarcity that we all kind of need and that urgency we all kind of need to make a decision, because you can't help someone until they're ready to be helped. And until you ask them, are you ready to buy now? And you're just giving them a reason to buy now with the open cart and the closed cart.
And that makes a lot of sense for things that are time limited, like workshops, or mastermind communities like DMMC, that you need to have the sale period stop so that you can get started delivering the content and working with the people that have purchased. But how does that work then for things like patterns that are always available? You know,
Yeah.
you definitely want to have a launch period for the pattern, but it doesn't really end because it's, you know, like from my experience, I'm putting it on my website. I'm hoping it's going to sell for years, but I need to have a promotion period. So some people will have a sale discount period when they initially launch a pattern. And I'm always hesitant to do that because I don't want to train my audience for low prices. So, you know, there's pros and cons to that. What are your thoughts on evergreen items that you want to have a time frame on?
So I love having a bonus. So something to go along with the pattern. So whether that is a coupon or a percentage off, a short sale for a short period of time, whether it's maybe a pre-recorded class, maybe it's a quilt along that you can launch to go along with it. Maybe it's a kit. So you only have a certain number of kits, different things like that to kind of incentivize a short, excited event style open cart period. So it feels like an ongoing event over those 10 days. And then after that, yes, it'll be available. And then because it's an evergreen product, so it's something you can pick up whenever you want to rotate it in your social media, rotate it in your newsletter. So if you have a section where you're like, hey, pattern of the week, this pattern of the week is this pattern. And honestly, you should be selling them, like rotating them in, especially your best sellers. Rotate them in and get people's eyes back on them. You don't necessarily have to launch the whole thing again, but if you're in a launch with a pattern that's similar or a pattern that uses a very similar style, like I use a lot of half-square triangles. If I had a pattern that also had half-square triangles and I'm teaching about half-square triangles, I would rotate those patterns into my newsletter and rotate them into my social media with my pre-launch content so they start using half-square triangles and start getting to see what half-square triangles can really create. And then they get excited for my next half-square triangle pattern.
Yeah, anything you can do in a series is really good. And that idea of bundling that you were talking about with some of those ideas is really, really good for just overall sales in general, because that tends to increase your average cart value. So the idea, you know, that's one of those geeky business numbers that you can look at is, you know, are there ways to bundle something so that if a person is interested in one thing, it's natural for them to add on and buy several things from you at once, which obviously is going to boost your income and hopefully your profits. And that's what we want as business owners, is to see that growth. So any way
Like
you
your
can bundle some items is a good idea. And I had a thought as you were talking about rotating things in. Someone who is doing that brilliantly right now is Quiet Play. I think her name is Krista or Kristen. She has foundation paper piece patterns. And so she has her regular newsletter that comes out once a week. And then a second newsletter every week is her so one stash one, SOSO. And she just brings back other patterns. She pairs them up, and so it's different every single week, and it's only on sale for that 1 week. You can get those 2 patterns for her special price, and you have to buy it within a few days because then it goes back into the vault and it's individual, higher priced,
I love
whatever.
that
So
phrase that you said. So Disney does that. Disney does
yes,
that into the vault where they will take away patterns or videos.
right.
They used to take away the videos so that you could only buy the DVDs or the VHSs at a certain period of time. So you can only get those classic stories at a certain period of time. It creates urgency.
Yep.
And scarcity. So you can employ that model as well and only have patterns available during certain times. And I wanted to point out bundling also with notions. Like you're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Ruler would be great with a kit, your ruler, the pattern, all in one spot. and have that be a discount only for 10 days or only available for 10 days. Then after that, they can't purchase it until you launch a new pattern with a little bit different ruler or something like that.
Yeah, that is a strategy that I am trying out. Another kind of tangent that you could do with bundles or for that launch period are things like collaborations with other designers. So your idea of half square triangles, if there were, well, we both like stars, so that's a better example. Star quilt blocks. If you had a quilt that featured stars, I have a quilt that features stars, we could get together with 2 or 3 other quilters that have similar patterns and offer a bundle. And then we could combine all of our email lists and email them this one special offer, and it gets our name in front of other people. Sorry, I couldn't reach the mute button.
I'm gonna take a drink too.
Sorry about that, Devin. I think this is going to be such the editing adventure. But okay, I think I'm good. Okay, so lots of fun options as we ride this roller coaster, the ups and downs, all the emotions going on with launching.
Emotions, yes. Let's talk about emotions.
Yeah, and that's an important thing for people to understand, is that you are going to experience fear, excitement. You're going to be way up high that, oh yeah, this is going great. And then you're going to drop down and say, oh no, I'm a failure. Why am I even doing this? And then you're going to rebound and say, okay, that was fun. I could do it again. So be ready for that. So that's why it's called the launch roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. And I think that scheduling can help with a lot of that. So scheduling, I preach scheduling, and then sometimes I don't do it. So do what I say, I know what I do on that one. When you pre-schedule, or there's a word. Am I using the right word here, pre-schedule?
I think so. It depends on what.
A better word. Well, you schedule ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
So you're scheduling your launch emails ahead of time. You're scheduling a lot of your content ahead of time. And then when you're in the moment, you could just make tweaks. That way you're riding the roller coaster, but it's a lot, you won't have a lot of energy during it because you're using so much energy to keep yourself in check. Like, right, Andi? Have you felt that too?
Yeah. Oh,
At the end of a launch, I am exhausted. And that was me 2 days ago. I finished launching for the quarter, the DMMC, and I was exhausted. I was sick. I always get sick when I launch something. Every single time, without fail, I get sick. Sometimes it's a cold, sometimes it's allergies, sometimes it's the stomach flu. Every single time I get sick. So now, I don't know if it's karma. I don't know if it's the energy. I don't know what it is. It's the planets. I don't know. But I plan ahead of time knowing that I'm going to get sick during the launch, and I'm not going to try to make promises that I can't keep, such as tomorrow I'm going to reach out with an email. And I am in the moment because I tend to like to write my launch emails in the moment, which is another bad habit of mine, and not use what I've previously done, which drains all my energy. That's probably why I get sick. But I know ahead of time not to make promises I can't keep. I know that I'm going to get sick, to make sure my open cart period is a little bit longer than I would normally plan. So I would probably go with the DMMC. I was hoping for 5 days, but this past time I did 7 because I was like, again, I got sick. I was exhausted. It was so exciting though. And what helps my mindset going into a launch is that this is a learning opportunity. I may not make any sales, and that is going to be okay. That is going to be okay. I'm going to learn from this. People are going to hear about me. I always get a large number of subscribers and unsubscribes at the same time during a launch. So my entire audience shifts every time I launch. And that's okay. You've got to let the people go that are not willing to buy from you and accept the people in that are. And they may not be buying from you from this launch. They may be buying from you in the future. So it's an investment of your energy. It's an investment of your time. But keeping in mind that you are learning you are growing with every single launch, and hopefully your revenue is going up with every single launch, and you're learning how to position each time you launch, and you get better and better and better at it. That's the hope.
Yeah, those are great points, which leads right into kind of our discussion of that post-launch, the follow-up, the aftermath. I love your idea of, giving yourself a few days of a buffer because you know that your energy's depleted. You're going to need some recovery time. So, schedule one follow-up email or regular weekly content. Make sure that's scheduled ahead of time so that you can kind of step back and let it sit for that brief period before you jump in. And I do want to remind our audience that we have a quarterly planning party coming up. So if launching is something that you want to do in quarter 2 or quarter 3, make sure you save the last Friday of March for our Quilting on the Side group planning session. So we'll talk more about that, but save the date. So that post-launch period, after you've done that little bit of recovery, what is the focus here, and kind of how long should that post-launch phase end up being?
Please don't disappear. This is something I've actually written in the book that I've actually wrote it a few days ago. Don't disappear on your audience. They have put trust and authority. They saw you build up your trust and authority. If you disappear, you will lose all momentum with them. So if you need to rest, this is where scheduling is going to come in so handy. I scheduled all of my closing emails. So I had 4 this time and then a follow-up email. And we're only a few days post launch. So I haven't followed up again yet. But I scheduled all of those last emails and I tried my best to rest. Many of your sales will come in with the closing cart emails. Do not miss those. Put in at least 2 the day of closing, 1 in the morning and 1 like 4 to 6 hours at the end of the cart close. That way you're getting those people who are like, oh, I have to do that right now. Because they, procrastinated the whole week when they saw your stuff coming in, and they're excited, but they just haven't sat down, got out their credit card and made the commitment. So give them a chance to make that commitment and don't ghost them afterwards. Send where you show up the most. So your email list, maybe in like Instagram, your main social media, show up there. But if you need more time to rest, let the rest go. Show up with your email list. Those are the people who really want to hear from you. So send a follow-up email with a little bit of value. So where they can follow up with you, reminder of the next newsletter that's coming out. Maybe you can have a free thing afterwards. If this is a huge offer that you're doing, I know that, if you're, okay, so I'm trying to think of an example here with the DMMC. Something I'm looking at in the future is to continually support those who didn't buy with a little more content, a few more videos, a few more something to help them keep moving. Because now with my launch content, they've gotten a really good idea how to set up a system, what digital marketing is. Now, how do I support them moving forward, even though they weren't ready to buy today? So that's something to look at is afterwards, where can you support them more? Referencing your core content. So my core content is the blog that I write and our podcast. So what I did with the follow-up email was like, hey, if you're looking for more information, go check out my blog. It's got great free resources. If you're looking for more information, you can also find the Quilting on the Side podcast, where we have all kinds of different information for you. And if you're not ready to join the DMMC today, we can also do one-on-one strategy sessions, just letting them know how they can keep involved with you and find you again. And maybe next time they'll be ready to buy.
So besides those follow-up emails, what else, how would you define the post-launch period? And is it the same or different than just kind of your general content offerings between promotion periods?
I would say it goes back to normal after that. So make sure you're following up with them, depending on your offer. So if it's just if it's a pattern, it's a simple offer, just having them know where they can get it afterwards is great. And then going right back to your regular newsletter is just fine. But you don't want to drop off and disappear. So make sure that your regular newsletter is still coming weekly or bi-weekly, or however you set it up, so that you don't lose the momentum with them, because they will forget about you by the next time you launch if you wait to launch for 3 months.
Yeah, and then you have it becomes much more of an uphill battle every time to become known. Whereas if you stay in touch with people, then you maintain that relationship. It's the same thing. We all have those friends that we can pick up with after years, and it feels like we've been in constant contact. But there's other people where, it would be awkward to just all of a sudden show back up and be like, oh, we're best friends. So, we're going to lunch every day. And no, you have to get to know you again. So yeah, definitely keeping in that contact. So I would think that intense post launch where you're doing that actual follow up and still talking specifically about that offer and why the person did or didn't buy would be just over maybe a week afterwards. And then, like you said, you can get back to some of your normal evergreen content.
Do you mean if you want to do a follow up as in asking them why they didn't buy?
Yeah, I've heard that's a really effective technique, just in terms of your own knowledge and feedback. Is, if you can identify, and this, I'm sure there's all sorts of email templates out there for people to ask, choose one of these reasons. It could be a quick survey, or, I noticed you didn't take me up on the offer. Was it? And then you could list some specific things. Was the price wrong? Was if it was a workshop, was it on a bad day of the week? Or just, help me improve. Do I need to offer fabric kits along with the pattern? Do I need to have video tutorials? Would that help? There's a lot of information out there. Like you said, it's fun to survey your audience. So take advantage.
And I would do it within 48 hours of the closing cart. I wouldn't wait very long. I would do it within 48 hours. If you want to survey your audience, do it quickly, because they'll forget, because they've got busy lives. So if you try to survey a week afterwards, they're like, wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I mean,
definitely
even if you feel confident enough to do 24 hours, I would do it very soon.
Yeah, definitely out of sight, out of mind. If you haven't been in regular contact, they're not even going to remember what you talked about. So so within, like you said, do those initial surveys within a couple days, and then wrap up and get back to your normal routine.
Feel free to take a break. If that didn't come across clearly, feel free to take a break from your social media. I would really, really encourage you to keep your newsletter going, but otherwise, take a break. Honor your commitments. If it's a workshop, you do need to deliver the workshop. So you will be fully immersed in the workshop, versus patterns, where you can probably take a break from patterns if you don't have like a quilt along follow-up or anything like that. Take a break. It's okay. And then you'll get right back to it, maybe in a couple of days, maybe in a couple of weeks, depending on how exhausted you are. And we've talked before about seasons. So you will have your busy season and your slower seasons that you can create in your business. And for me personally, I practically disappeared this week on social media. I've done a few fun things, but I was like, you know what? I'm sick. For one thing, I'm exhausted. I put all my energy and emotion and everything into this lunch, and I am just going to relax, post when I feel like it, and I will show up again strong in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So talking about those cycles of launching, it can be I would think monthly would be pretty intense, but I suppose it could be doable. I mean, I went through that last year with my block of the month. That felt like a monthly launch cycle. And by the end, it was really tough to keep the momentum going for all of that. Quarterly is a pretty good cycle, but if you're just getting into this whole thing and you've never done a complete, formal pre-launch with the full email sequence, open cart, and all of that, try it once and then give yourself a good 3 to 6 months to analyze and develop your follow-up plans. But I would encourage you to definitely do it again, because it's always easier the second time around, and you've learned a lot. So let's implement some of those lessons and see that improvement and growth. And then you can get on those, quarterly cycles. There are some of the big names that have those big high dollar courses. They only launch once a year. So
I keep that in mind with your high dollar offers, is that you can only launch it once a year. One caveat to what you're saying is that if you are bringing in a ton of leads, so if you are able to create an ad where you're bringing in a bunch of leads, or you're doing a bunch of collaborations at one part of the year, you're bringing in a bunch of leads and you feel ready to launch again and launch more often. And I would suggest having a helper of some sort come in for that. Then yes, go ahead and launch more often. But like Andi said, you could just launch a couple times a year and really do like a full launch, like once, twice, maybe 3 times a year, and see how you handle it and how the business goes. And I do want to share that every time I launch, the second time, no one buys. Every time. The first one, you get great conversion. The third one, good conversion, sometimes great conversion. But the second time I launched, again, I don't know why, no one buys. No one.
yeah. So push through that sequel. Well, the sequels are never as good, right? We're continuing with our movie analogies that, the trilogy, by the time you get to the third one of the trilogy, it's good. But the second one, you take that dip, all part of the roller coaster. So
I just want to share that, because I think that if you hear all these gurus talking about launching and their numbers go up every single time, and it used to get into my head that why does no one buy the second time I launch? And I really tried to study it, and part of it is just accepting the fact that the second time I launch, no matter what I do, there's a possibility, like before, I will not get any conversions. And I'm going to be okay with that. I'm taking it as a learning opportunity. And then the third time I launch, I take both the launches that I've already created and pull the best from both. And then the third one always goes good. It always goes well.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, I think we've covered the 3 phases of a launch: the pre-launch, the actual launch open cart, and then your follow-up period. So we definitely want to encourage our listeners to drop us an email or leave a comment on your podcast platform, the YouTube channel, with ideas and questions that you might have about launches. So we definitely want to hear from you. We can do lots of follow-up, because again, marketing is one of those things that we all can improve, and Tori is our expert.
So I'm so glad you put that, because I did ask on Instagram. I put it in a story and asked, what are your questions around launching, just to see if we could add anything to our episode today. And we had one response. I was asking about using affiliates during the launch. So with affiliates, I just want to say that you want to make sure they've used your product or taken your workshop before, that they've done your service, used your service. So you want to make sure they have worked with you before. You don't want to get strangers in as affiliates. Offering them either a discount if it is something that is like a continuous charge can be great, but also, so that's more of a referral. But then an affiliate is going to take part of your profit for themselves, which is a great marketing tactic. But you want to make sure that you are supporting those affiliates. So it takes extra energy, extra time, extra resources to support that affiliate program. When you're bringing in affiliates, and Andi, I know that you're an affiliate for a few companies, so feel free to stop me and chime in. As on this side of it, as the business owner, I've been looking at signing up an affiliate program for the programs I have. And I would offer a high percentage. So I'm thinking around 40 to 50%, somewhere high in there. And the trade-off is to get more and more people into the program that I have, or the 2 programs that I have. So keeping it high, making it valuable for them, but also making it easy for your affiliates. So you create the social media graphics, you create the copy for their captions, you create the emails, and give them 3 or 4 different options. So here's one for your, okay, so one I saw, and I was thinking this before I saw this, but it was a perfect example where Bonnie Christine, I think her name is Bonnie Christine, Christina, Christine, the
Christine,
surface
Bonnie
pattern
Christine,
designer.
yeah.
Yeah, I can look it up, but I know that we're, okay, so she is launching currently her immersion course all about surface pattern design. And she has worked in affiliate launching in her welcome email for her free course. So she's doing like a free course for her launch. So every day she has new content coming out. You go watch the video. And then in those emails, she has a picture and copy that you can share with your friends, with your followers, with, there was another one that's in there that, and it's easy to copy, paste, and send. So you want to make it easy for them. And the monetary, and hers is not monetary, I will say, but you can make a monetary contribution, or not contribution, what's the word? Incentive, commission for them to earn to be a paid affiliate for you.
Mm-hmm.
And those are going to be really, really, I think they're very valuable for a launch. But you want to make sure they've gone through your program. They understand your program and what you're trying to achieve. So I would definitely put, for me, I'm thinking of an application to be an affiliate, making sure they understand the mission, the motives, the whole program. They understand what it's for, and they understand what supports are there to help them promote.
Yeah, definitely. Affiliates, as you said, are beneficial both ways. They're beneficial to the business owner because it allows you to reach a wider audience and bring in some of those new faces. And it also is a support for the affiliate, the person that's piggybacking on the offer. Like you said, there's a financial incentive a lot of times to do that because you're getting that little bit of bonus income commission from the business owners. There's a lot of nuances with affiliate marketing, so definitely do your own research. I can only share anecdotal evidence of some of that stuff. So there's many other experts that can give you real good advice on that. So it is an option. But it's probably a topic for another time to dig into the finer details. But you gave a great overview for that. And you have mentioned DMMC as one of our examples. You just finished launching that. Tell our audience a little bit more about that, because that really is your signature offer, and it's a great resource for people.
Oh, thanks, Andi. So DMMC is the Digital Marketing Magic community and program. So it's a high-touch community where I work one-on-one with my members, and I have a program to support them so they can go and learn about how to set up a digital marketing strategy and system. So my whole thing is so that you can create a digital marketing system where it's a flywheel, and all you're doing is pushing that flywheel with one piece of core content every week or every other week, depending on your bandwidth. It's what I've created for multiple offers within the quilting industry, and it's what I'm creating currently. It's almost done. My flywheel is almost complete. But it's all about taking you from foundations, where we're setting up your email list, we're really digging into your ideal customer, and all the way up to creating a system
to keep that momentum going. Yeah, I love it. And
it comes with like one-on-one work. So we customize it for you. So you meet with me when you first join, and we go over your goals, and I pinpoint where you need to go within the program, or pinpoint what you need to work on next, and what can support you in this. So you can go through the entire program. You can work with just me, even with strategy sessions. Like there's so many ways that I've structured this to where you get what you need for your business and where you're at right now, to create that system so that you can go spend your time quilting, right? Yes. So we're not spending our time on Instagram posting and trying to figure out reels and like okay, we got to figure out reels sometimes, but we don't need to be spending all our time doing that. We don't need to be spending all our time on 5, 6, 7 different social media platforms when that's not doing anything for you and your business. It's just wasting your time. So I get passionate about it. I was like, you're wasting your time. But yeah, so that it sets all of that up. So it's a system for you to just kind of create one piece of core content, you get it out into your system, and you do it once a week or every other week. And that way you have time to devote to everything else that you need to be doing in your business. So your digital marketing is taken care of. So you can go out and collaborate. You can go to quilt shows. You can go and you can write a book. You can write more patterns. You can go quilt a quilt top for your niece. Like, you're not spending all of your time on digital marketing.
Yeah, and having had the pleasure of sitting in on some of those DMMC training sessions, teaching opportunities, Tori is a master. She knows what she's talking about. She can really help you move the needle on your business. So get on her wait list and take advantage of DMMC. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.